Hello, story time with Uncle Rowan again. This is one a few people know about already, and they said that's what they want to hear next. And I thought, why not? That's one that's getting illustrated at the moment, actually. So it'll be out as a picture book in October. So if anyone fancies a pre-order, let me know. I'm sure I can sort something out for you. It's one for all the little entrepreneurs out there, or maybe for the parents who think their kids might be budding entrepreneurs. It's called Billy the Goat and his £5 note, and this is how it goes. This isn't the story of old Farmer Giles, whose family farm stretched miles and miles. This is the story of Billy the Goat, and the day that he found a £5 note. Counting his cash up one winter's day, Giles knew that a fiver had fluttered away. An icy gust snatched it straight out of his hand and carried it off. Now where would it land? He watched as it dropped in the hay in the yard, just as his Billy Goat chomped down hard. And he saw Billy spit it out onto the floor. And he scoffed, "Keep it, Goat, I've got plenty more." Well, Billy just couldn't believe his eyes. £5 of my own? Well, what shall I buy? 5 bags of carrots, a pallet of fruit, a pedicure treat for my cloven hooves, Top Yacht magazine, well, a goat's got a dream, or a bus trip to London to wave at the Queen. I can only pick one, so I better get picking. Or maybe, just maybe. And his brain started ticking. That night when Billy went back to his pen, he said to the sheep and the pig and the hen, "There's £1 for you each and a bed of fresh hay if you'll come to work for me for a day." Next morning, he went to see David the printer, who was grateful for work in the middle of winter. "I've got a new petting zoo. Entries are £1. "I print signs for 2 bob, said Dave, and he did. That afternoon, Billy led out his mates, and they set up his sign outside the school gates. They waited, and then at kicking out time, 5 kids and their parents had soon formed a line. That night, when Billy was back in his pen, he mused how his £5 note was now 10, and he said to the hen and the sheep and the pig, "Let's go back tomorrow. This could be big." Now £5 in profit, he went back to see Dave. This needs to be something the public will crave. Dave thought for a moment. "If you want exposure, let's print up some leaflets and maybe a poster." By mid-afternoon, with exposure aplenty, yesterday's tenner had now become 20, and by the end of the day, and here it gets nifty, what began as a £5 was now a crisp 50. That night, to the pig and the hen and the sheep, Billy said, "Thank you, team. Now I'm taking a leap. Here is a pay rise for all 3 of you, but I want you to take over running the zoo." By the very next evening, from what had begun as a soggy old £5 had now made a ton, and with his petting zoo managed, Billy was able to next set his sights on old Farmer Giles' stable. "Let me lease this from you, Giles, 10 bob a day, or 100 a week if you'll throw in the hay." Old Giles thought him simple, but what Billy planned were horse rides, and that week he made his first grand. When springtime arrived, to the sheep, pig and hen, Billy said, "Why don't we repeat this again? Each of you knows how to manage a zoo, so let's open another. In fact, make that 2. At the stable, manure was forming in piles. Billy stuck it in bags and sold it to Giles. The bees in the eaves started churning out honey. Billy stuck it in jars, and guess what? Made some money. Summer arrived and the enterprise thrived. More zoos, more stables, more bees in the hive. Billy opened a shop selling honey and wax, taking orders online and by phone and by fax. By the time autumn came, he had doubled again and promoted the sheep and the pig and the hen to direct operations. And this will amaze you, in Europe, America, even in Asia. Then back round to winter, a year and a day since finding £5 and a mouthful of hay. But who knew back then? Who would ever have wondered that in just 12 months he'd be FTSE 100? So that is the story of Billy the Goat, and the way that he looked at his £5 note. The 5 become 10, the 10 become 20, then 50, 100, 1,000, which meant he could build up and expand, invest and aspire, diversify, merge, take over, acquire. Billy started with little, but now has a lot, and he runs the whole thing from the deck of his yacht. Now I know that you think that this story is silly. So did old Farmer Giles. Now he's working for Billy.